this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This is a sort of update and maintenance thing on the Renantheras. This is the one that's lost its, well, potentially lost its growing point. It just looks a bit black in there as though it's rotted. And he lied because this isn't that one, it's the other one. There is one. So this is storiei, and this hasn't been repotted. It's still in the stuff that it was in when I got it, and I think it's going to have to come out because we're getting an awful lot. I'd like to think it was moss, but I think it's algae, and if I'm going to get bad algae on a pot, I'd rather get it out and change the media. So I think in a minute I'll just empty that out, because it hasn't been out the pot. I don't really know what's going on in the pot. I don't see, I was going to say I don't see any active roots, but there is one root down there with what looks like a green tip, but that could be algae on the root. That's the problem. Apart from that, this one has a new leaf growing, a bit of discoloration on the leaves. I introduced it to brighter light a bit too quick, I think, and it's got some aerial roots, two of which have extended enough to now touch the edge of the pot, which they weren't doing before, and this one has a growing tip as well. So we've got three aerial roots and otherwise roots unknown in the pot, and the leaf is growing, so it is actively moving. These hooks are pretty good. I've got plenty of them, but you have to watch what you're doing. Let me see if I can show it. If you look at this one, if you look at that, that's got quite a gap in it. Now this is plastic, so you can't sort of bend it back into shape. Probably the last time it was used, it was put over something quite wide and it bent it outwards. That will slip off of pots quite easily. It's not going to do the job properly. So put that one to one side in case I forget and use it. What you want with these is that. No gap. So that whatever you put it over the top of, it snaps on and grabs. So you've got to watch your step with these. It depends how they were used before, and if you're buying new ones, that's something to check. Right, so there's nothing to actually do on that one. We put the holes in the pot with the soldering iron not long after I got it because it was staying wet. That's done the job. It now dries. So that's that one, and that's Renanthera. So I just completely forgot the genus name. Renanthera storiei. So that's that one. Nothing to do on that one. Now this is the one with the potentially rotted growing tip. It's difficult to tell, but down inside there is a bit black and there's no sign of a new leaf. If a new leaf grows, it's fine. Then it's some sort of staining from a previous problem. Now this one has something growing there, just above that root. There's a green nubbin. Now I don't know what it is, I haven't had these before. It's unlikely to be a second root coming out where a root already is, but then I don't know, perhaps they can do that. But this is the worst of the plants I've got. I left the roots in the little plastic basket and just put some media in the pot, just to help keep it hydrated basically. And the roots are spindly, old and tired, and at the moment on this plant I have no growing root tips at all. I don't see any. Even these roots up here, the root tips had died back when I got it. I think it's been kept in dry air. These can potentially branch out, yeah. So this is not that good a plant. And this is a cross, this is an intergeneric in fact. This is, again, it's Renanthera storiei, but it's crossed with Denisoniana. So it's a primary cross, but it's an intergeneric because it's not crossed with another Renanthera. And all I want to do on this is make some holes in the pot and get it on a hanger. Now this is going to be difficult because the roots are right there. Ow, that's hot. Well, yes, it would be, wouldn't it? So I can't go mad with the holes in the pot, but we can have some. I'll just have to pick my places and not go too mad. Completely messes up the pots if you do it like this. If you've got a random shape of holes and then this plant eventually comes out of here and the pot goes to one side, because we always reuse our pots, don't we? Give them a good clean and everything, sterilise them, they're ready to go again. But the next time you use it, you're going to look at it and think, I don't want to use that, it looks really awful, because the pots aren't in nice neat lines. But quite honestly, as long as they do the flipping job. I just need to be able to get a bit more airflow through this pot. Obviously if it's going to go up in the roof, which it is, from where it was, which was deep on a shelf, to get it near the glass, it was about as far away from the circulating fans as it could possibly get. Or if it gets up in the roof, it'll get more airflow, and with the holes in the pot, the airflow will do its job. I'm going to have to turn the extractor on. Sorry about that. I'd rather that went up through the filter than up my iota. I just started getting a whiff of it. Anyway, that'll do. Just put that back up there for a minute. And then what we want is a hanger. So I can get it up in the roof. We've already looked at this white one, and this has got good tight, what do you call it, on grabby things, go over the top and catch hold of it nicely. You can hear them click if they're doing their job nicely. There we go, so that'll hang up in the roof nicely now, get a bit of airflow around it. Maybe we'll get a new leaf out of the top. If we don't get a new leaf out of the top, then it's going to have to grow a kiki, and that'll take time, so don't expect too much from that one for a while. Right, whoops, don't need the trays if they're going up the roof. Now what the hell was this one? This one, this is Renanthera calcium, I think it is. I'll do a pop-up. And I believe this is either a primary cross or a species crossed with a primary cross, I've forgotten. Now this one's got some reasonable roots. They're not actively growing at the moment, but they're not all old and tired. I've got a growing root tip up here, I've got a new root coming out here. No sign of any spikes or anything, and the latest leaf is pushing on. So it's not a bad plant. But you can see here that we've got bone dry media at the top and it's black at the bottom, it's wet, yeah? So it's not drying. So again, we just need to get some air holes in. Let's get some more airflow through. Once it gets up in the roof. And, they'll be more in the line of fire of the circulating fans, not directly, you know, we're not going to blow on them hard, but the airflow is much better around the roof because that oscillating fan, you know, really does push the air around. Matter of looking at where the roots are and aiming at the gaps, not aiming at the roots. And also not pushing too hard, because if you push too hard, let the heat do the work. If you push too hard, it'll suddenly go through and it could push well into the pot, and then you may burn some roots. That's that one done. Finish smoking. Coming on that one. Right, so we need a hanger that's got good bits on the end. Now this one has, because it was also quite a giant one, that one, and I'm going to keep the longer one for the longer one of these. This one's okay. So it's just a matter of checking the ends and making sure they're tight and they haven't been spread out. Right, So there. There-ish. Over the front. That's good. That's another one done. 2. And the last one, this is the tallest one. And this is the species. This is imschootiana. And the shoot is SCH, not S, just SH. So there's no pop guns involved. Element of German possibly when that was discovered. Anyway, so a species again. This one is not showing any signs of spikes. Top leaf is pushing, so it is actually growing. We've got some aerial roots that are not growing, but they're good. They're good sturdy roots. They're not actively growing, and there's not much going on in the pot, but there are some roots. So again, I've got no active growing root tips at the moment. And again, you can see the media colour down towards the base there is pretty dark. So it needs some air. I've got to go more careful with this one because there are roots right down to the bottom of the pot. So the gaps aren't so obvious. They're there, but I also don't want to go in too far. So this one, I've got to be a bit more careful with this one. Stop leaning over it. The fumes going up my nose. Where I'm leaning over it to see what I'm doing, I'm getting right in the line of fire between the smoke and the flipping extractor. Get my head back a bit. I'm sure this stuff is not good for you. You'd never get any information, would you, on what the pot was made of, and would it give off toxic fumes if it caught on fire? You'd never find that sort of information, but I always sort of think along the lines, most plastic burns with toxic fumes in some shape or form. Not sort of deadly, I wouldn't have thought, but didn't do you any good, I'm sure. I think there's a bit of a, I don't know whether they're inbuilt instincts from ages gone by, but if something doesn't smell very nice, I always think it's not really doing you any good. That's probably not true across the board, but some things smell really nice and do you no good at all. Right, that's that one done. Clear the smoke. Now we need a longer one, so I'm going to use this green one. Is quite a long one, but it has got quite tight clips on it. Because obviously it's a taller plant, so I don't want it actually touching the roof. Oh, and I've told you about me watching the Birds of Prey webcams. There's our local osprey, which isn't going to breed this year because the male didn't turn up in time and still hasn't. But she still comes on the nest each day and tidies it up and has a preen and then goes off fishing. And it's local, so I've got more of an interest in it because it's local. It just feels nicer. And then the two in Wales are actually due to hatch their chicks any day now. Possibly even today the first one could hatch. They'll be staggered by a day or two. And then the one up in Scotland has got no live chat next to it, so you don't get any information about it at all. Right, so that's my bit of maintenance done, and my coffee's probably stone cold. I'm having to rough it. I've run out of milk, so we're having to have black coffee. Now, I don't mind black coffee if it's proper coffee, you know, like filter coffee or, you know, proper coffee from beans made nicely rather than instant. But I couldn't be bothered to put a pot of coffee on at whatever it is, nearly 10 o'clock, because I'll have had too much coffee by the time I finish the pot. So I decided, I ran out of milk on the last cup, so this is the first black one I've had to have. cuts down the amount of coffees I have, because it's not, to me it's not quite as nice. But I can't be bothered to go around the shop just for milk. The risk element of going to the shop doesn't justify just getting milk. I'll wait till I need a few things and then I'll do that. I'm being naughty this weekend, I'll forewarn you, because it will affect the videos. My daughter's coming down this weekend, which is naughty. Separate households are not supposed to mix unless they meet outside and not travel in a car together and stay in the same house. But we've sort of balanced it up. This is probably the safest place you could ever go to. Nobody has ever entered this house for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. Yeah? So nobody's ever come in, and everything that comes in here gets dealt with properly. I deal with myself when I go out, and because I managed to get a home shop delivered to my door, I haven't been out for 9-10 days, which is the equivalent of self-isolating for the 7 days. Yeah, so this place is safe, so the risk is mine if Hannah comes down, and I'm prepared to do it. You know, her work environment, she looks after, as a carer, one individual. The only other person in the house is the girl's mother, who she now works from home. And again, the whole household is self-isolating. There's only 2 people in it. Anna's journey to work is something like 4 o'clock in the morning. She sees nobody. On the way home, she sees a few people, walks well away from them, gets back home to where she lives. Her mum's doing her shopping and leaving it outside the door. I'd say us two are pretty safe to actually, you know, get together. So the risk will be taken. And also we both live in areas that are low infection rates. As I explained, the county next door to me, which starts about 5 miles up the road, had one of the highest at one point. But where I am is a low infection rate, so you know, if you think how many people there are infected in the whole of the southwest of England, what are the chances of walking past one? It's pretty flipping slim, isn't it? More likely to get struck by lightning, I would think. So the risk is going to be taken. She'll be coming down this weekend for Saturday and Sunday, back to work on Monday, so there may not be videos over the weekend unless I do something in advance. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Turn the racket off, and I've got watering to do now. It's Mounts Day today. I'm getting away with doing the Mounts watering is every other day, with probably about 15 or 16, maybe as many as 20 exceptions which are still done daily, but I pick those out, and it's mainly the ones with the live moss on, because I don't want the moss to die. But otherwise I'm doing them every other day. It's getting a bit much doing them every single day, like I have done in previous years, and they don't seem to be suffering, you know, so I'm happy with every other day. Did me holy clay pots yesterday, so I've only got the mounts to do today, so it's quite an easy going day. And tomorrow, as far as the video is concerned, I've got some new stuff opened. One is half open, and that will be a first time bloomer, and another is a repeat bloomer that's got one bloom just opened and another one opening. So there's a few new things to look at, but I want to wait till tomorrow. So we'll have a look round the plants and the blooms and stuff in the grow room tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Thanks for dropping by. I hope these Renantheras are going to do okay. They weren't cheap plants for me, but recently I've been looking at plants more frequently on eBay and various places, and quite honestly they've all gone up. It's difficult sometimes. You have a historical mind. You remember how things were easier than accepting how things are now. And you know, like my guy in the Netherlands, Orchid Man on eBay, you know, his plants used to be anything from sort of 10 quid to sort of 17, 18 quid. Yeah, well, they're not anymore. Unless they're a very, very young plant, his plants are well up in the 20s and some go into the low 30s. So it's quite a major increase. It's happened over a period of years, but you know, the cheap plants aren't out there. The other one I get from Spicy Exotic Plants, Susanna, you know, when I first started buying there, plants seemed to be incredibly cheap, as was the postage. Well, at least the postage is still relatively cheap, but the plants have gone up a lot. You know, I was looking at some Draculas, they're all like 32, 35 pounds. That's quite a lot, you know, unless it's a mature, good sized plant, which some of them are. Anyway, so perhaps these weren't as expensive as some, and there's only so many around. I don't think there's that many species of Renantheras overall, you know, and it's not, they haven't been hybridized to the sort of extent that some of the other genera have, like the Cattleyas and the Oncidiums and the intergenerics in there, Masdevallias even. You know, some genera have been really hit hard with hybridizations, Cymbidiums, yeah. Renantheras haven't been hit that hard yet. It might be that because they're in the main classed as warm to hot growers, there's not that many people buy them, so the demand are not there. It could just be that. I mean, there would be some countries where all these people grow outside with plants hanging in their trees, where I'm sure these would just do really well, because it's more akin to the climate that they would grow in. But here in the UK, you know, the temperatures are going to be a bit thin on the ground for these in the winter. They're going to feel a bit chilly, and they'll just slow down. Hopefully they won't keel over, they'll just slow down and probably stop. Anyway, I shall see you next time. Bye for now. I thought I'd add this on the end. It seems a bit silly separating it out. Basically just get this media out, see what we've got in the pot, and then promptly replace it with some new. My worry is that some reasonable media, which this is, was put on top of something not so reasonable, and unless it comes out of the pot I'm never going to know, am I? So let's see what we've got. Well, what we've got is not brilliant. I did say that it was highly likely there would be some growing roots in the pot, and what we've got is a potential roots. Where's my camera? A bit far away, aren't I? We've got a potential root starting there that might not grow. The base of it doesn't look too good. You've got a root here that has branched and has a growing tip on it. That one's not going to grow. And then another one here with a growing tip that could potentially push on, as could that one and that one. And yeah, so we've got roots. Now I'm wondering whether to sacrifice that little nub in there to shorten the stem to enable me to get it deeper in the pot and get these two aerial roots in so that they hydrate better. These roots on this plant, doesn't matter how much water you pour over the top, they don't hydrate. They don't turn green, yeah, like the others do. Although one of the others does the same thing, stays white. But obviously this has got a growth habit that's very clearly defined. It only puts out one root per joint, and it alternates them, and that's how it grows. You look this side, that side, there, 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 there. So that's how it grows its roots. So it doesn't look like it's capable of pushing out any in between, which is a bit of a bind, but yeah, with that stumpy bit on the bottom I can't get those two roots in. Right, let's get something to cut with. I'll be back. Right, where was I? There's other things to do in between. You lose track sometimes if you walk away. I've given the pot a clean up. Reuse the same one because it'll save making holes in another one. So, right, now what I'm going to do is I've got the heavy duty stuff, and I'm going to take that off close to that root, so that removes almost 2 inches of stem. You know me, as soon as I get near a rhizome, we have a clean rhizome. That are good, which means potentially it should grow on well. And we will seal that off with cinnamon. Make sure that it's not just, it doesn't just have drying properties, it has got some sort of sterilising is the wrong word, but it has some properties that are useful. Let's put it that way. Brain's not working today. Right, so the idea now is that that goes much deeper in the pot and gets 2 extra roots in the media. As you can see, that only leaves 1 aerial one. I think that'll be better for it. And this is just a matter of pouring the flipping bark in, quite honestly, straight out the jug. There are so few roots as such that it's not a matter of wiggling it in between the roots. There's nowhere else for the bark to go but between the roots. So it's just a matter of getting the media in there, quite honestly. And there we go. Let's just settle it in. Not that that's that important for this type of plant. I need air in the pot. You know, I need air around these roots. But I also need what they're in to stay hydrated a bit longer than being in the air. Certainly while these plants are younger. There we go, stick our label back in. Get our hanger back on and get some water in there. What I'm doing with these, because these are of a vandaceous nature, for obviously just looking at them you can tell that. As a consequence, I am assuming, like vandas, they are higher feeders than some other orchids, and so what I do with these is I use the water in the vanda bucket. So I give them a dunk in the vanda bucket, but not too deep, otherwise all the bark floats off the top of the pot. You've got to collect it all and put it back in. But yeah, I give them a dunk, and then I use my normal watering thing with my glass and pour lots of water through, get them nice and wet, and then hang them up till they finish dripping. And that's how I'm watering them at the moment. In theory, there will come a time when they are big enough and tall enough that they can grow bare rooted or in some sort of small plastic basket just to have something to attach wires to. Basically, it's not for the plant to grow in, it's for it to sit in and grow over the sides and down through the holes and hang. With basically an aerial root system like my vandas are. So that's their destiny, but I don't know how long it will take for them to get to that point in their lives. So there we go, that's that one done, and I'll see you next time.